And welcome to this week's Artist on Art. I have the great pleasure of speaking with this year's Irwin 2013 recipients. Those are the best of the art students here at UCSC, and I'm going to get to talk to a whole bunch of them. The show is starting with Heidi Cramer and Dmitri Zurita. Welcome to the show, Heidi.
Thanks.
Dimitri.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So you two are one of 12?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's right.
Shall we go over it? Shall we do a shout out to all of this year's amazing artists? But before we do that, there's going to be an Irwin Scholars Exhibition 2013. Y'all don't want to miss it out there in Radioland. You will see the best of burgeoning, would you say, artists that are about to fly off into their
graduate schools and careers.
Yep.
Whatever that might be for them. But we are pretty certain there'll be some art practice involved. Mm-hmm. And so Heidi is the exhibition assistant for this amazing exhibition that begins May 29th and runs through June 15th. The big hoo-ha, the party you don't want to miss. The opening reception is May 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. And there'll be an award ceremony at 6 p.m. Mm-hmm. And so Heidi Cramer, as an exhibition assistant, what have you been doing with this? Also, just to make sure you are an Irwin recipient as well.
Yeah. No, it's been great. I've been working with Mark Shunny and Shelby Graham, and they're amazing people to work with.
And this is the program director and assistant director at the Sesnon Gallery.
At the Sesnon Art Gallery.
In Porter College.
Yeah, no, thank you. They've been really wonderful to work with when putting this exhibition together. I've been learning a lot. We've been gathering bands. We've got some bands lined up for the show.
There'll be live music.
There'll be live music. Uh-huh. There'll be refreshments. This is one of the biggest shows at the Mary Porter Sesnon Art Gallery of the year, so there'll be a big turnout. All the work that the artists have been putting together, I've been watching unfold. We've been meeting and talking about what type of work we want to show in the space, and there seems to be a really heavy emphasis on sculptural and installation work. So really an immersive experience, I think, for the public when they come down to see what these artists have been putting together for the show.
Which will be at the Mary Porter Sesnon Art Gallery at UCSC, and that is in the Porter College.
That's right, by the Koi Pond.
And this is a free event, and it's wheelchair accessible. The parking is free on weekends, and the gallery hours are Tuesday through Saturday, noon to 5 p.m., and then on Wednesday, it's a little later. It's from 12 to 8 p.m. And again, the opening reception is May 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. with an award ceremony at 6 o'clock p.m. So Heidi Cramer, you've worked a lot with the Sesnon. This is my pleasure to talk with you the second time here at KZSC on Artist on Art. The first time was with Caterina Lanfranco, where she was doing an amazing immersive installation piece at the Porter, at the Sesnon Gallery, which was paper cutouts, tar paper cutouts of wooded palatial space.
Yeah, like a wooded environment with the Tyvek material. Yeah, my cutting skills have really much improved. I always carry an X-Acto blade on me now. And I've gotten pretty good at it. That was an amazing experience. And I mean, since I first came here, that was the first place I went to, was the Sesnon Art Gallery, because it was one of the best galleries in town. And they've been wonderful since I've been there. And through this whole experience with the Irwin show, they've been very supportive, and it should be a really great show.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It always is. Years past, the Irwin Scholars are a wonderful thing, just like the art print sale, where you can also then purchase works from our graduating art students.
The posters will actually be on sale at the print sale that we've made for the event. Ethan Sneiderman was kind enough to put these letterpress posters for us together, so they'll be on sale as well.
Oh, and
the works at the Sesnon are also on sale, though.
Dmitri Zurita Zurita?
I was just going to say that the works at the Sesnon that we'll be showing for the Irwin 2013 show are also on sale.
Will be available for purchase.
Yeah.
And something that you can hold on to, folks, as an investment, because these artists...
We're going places.
Yeah, support the arts.
That's right. So let's just do a quick shout out to all the included artists. Jose Rodriguez. Do you know a little bit about his work?
Yeah, he's a printmaker and a painter. So he's been doing these really, really beautiful wood reliefs of workers in Watsonville and administrators for the WFA, and like really cool work. And he's also doing some large portraits of the same themes.
So, activist artist?
Yeah. I'd say at least documentary.
And then Noah Mishka, we'll be talking to him in a little bit. How about Jessie Chernetsky?
Yeah, she's been doing some really interesting photography work. We have a couple of examples of her photographs up on Tumblr. The Tumblr site has all of the works of the artists, either in progress, past work.
That's Irwin2013.tumblr.
That's right.
.com.
That's right.
Irwin2013.tumblr.com. No
That's
E
right.
in there, folks, if you're not sure.
Yeah, exactly. My mistake when I was first doing it. Noob to Tumblr. But yeah, it's been great setting it up. I learn all sorts of things about WordPress and Tumblr. So that's all set to go. You can check out the installation shots, in progress works, and see the show develop online if you don't have a chance to come by the gallery before the opening night.
And you also have a Facebook page, which is Irwin Scholars.
Exactly.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so Lenora Valdez will be talking with her. Joanne Wang, what is she doing?
She's doing installation sculpture. She's going to be doing mixed media work.
She's a very process-based artist.
Very process-based.
So when you say process-based...
It means her works take a very long time to execute, and they're made up of lots of very small gestures that at the end of, a couple weeks period add up to this really monumental sculpture that's
that interact
composed of very
with,
tiny things.
Yeah, and they react very heavily to their environment, to the architecture. So, yeah.
I'm very intrigued. Ethan Sneiderman?
Ethan is a great printmaker. He's going to be showcasing two walls, or at least one large wall of his prints, and he was the one that put together the posters for us. He also put together the art department graduation poster in collaboration with Kelsey.
Yeah,
so McNichol. So yeah, he's been helping out everybody.
And this is going to be an interesting one to see for printmakers and 2D people, because he's not just putting his 2D prints up on the wall. He's actually trying to
make it an installation.
Yeah, make it sort of an installation,
right.
and sort of wallpaper the walls with his prints, and really trying to make this immersive environment out of prints, which is really cool. Yeah.
And then we have Kati Teague.
Oh, Kati Teague, I believe.
Yeah, Kati's a painter. And she did this installation piece where she built, it's almost like a boxing ring, but it's really sort of like a cell, and there's barbed wire, and you have to like enter it to view her paintings, which are, about her mother and about the prison industrial complex. And so it's very emotional work that's based on, the social reality of contemporary life, of contemporaneity. So
Coleman Pritchard.
Yeah, he's going to be doing some very large-scale metal works. He deals a lot with metal. He'll be doing some mixed media in them as well.
He's going to be downstairs at the Sesnon Underground?
Yeah, along with Joanne. They're going to be transforming the space, quite literally, with their installation pieces.
Where's the space?
D140 is down below the Sesnon, in the same quad as the koi pond. The door will be open. It'll be hard to miss. Yeah. The sculptures will be leading you in.
It's known as a Sesnon Underground.
Yes.
And then we have Patrick Appleby.
Yeah, he's going to be displaying his paintings. You've been helping him with the framing and watching it together.
He was doing like figurative work, and now he's doing abstract expressionism. And he made some really nice shadow box frames for it.
Yeah.
And I actually think he's working on a new piece for the show, which is nice. It's good to see people making new work.
And last but not least, Christopher Cravey.
Yeah, he's working on something right now. It's he does sculpture, and they're very well crafted, very well put together, and they're works, I believe right now that he's working on a kinetic element to his sculpture. So something that should really encourage the audience to walk around and be a part of the space with
yeah, we're not sure, but I think the audience might have an active role in enabling the work itself. So the work, I think, is kinetic, and I think it's static before you interact with it. So I think you actually have to like crank or do something.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
We're not gonna drop the beans yet.
Yeah.
That's right, folks. You're going to have to go on May 29th and play with Christopher Cravey's sculpture yourself to find out what it works, how it works, that kind of thing. So, Dmitri Zurita, tell us about your work.
Well, I do...
You're saying conceptual, but you don't want to go back to the 70s.
Right,
Tell us what you're
I've had a couple of interviews, and people always call me a conceptual artist, and I think the term because you think of conceptual and you think of ideas, and really that's where my artwork is living and thriving and is in the idea and the concept. And I even have a body of work that's specifically just brainwave based and just based on physics, non-perceivable things. So I don't really know what to call myself. I think interstitial is really good, or trans artist, because
what interstitial?
Yeah, interstitial is sort of like in between things.
I know you were graduating from the art department, but
this is art speak.
Well,
tell me again, interstitial.
Interstitial means in between. So I grew up in Tijuana. I grew up on the border between the United States and Mexico, and I spent 20 years almost actually literally staring at the border. And the town that I grew up in was physically divided by the border. So I had a large presence in my life, and I've been in the university system for about 7 years. So I've had a lot of majors go into my artwork at this, so there's a lot of different, avenues or branches that feed into my work, and therefore my work can never be contained in one medium. And I actually think that's sort of limiting, to do that. And the art world isn't really, or the art world quote, flying quotes, isn't really there anymore. Academically, grad schools are still thinking very much in like sculpture, painting, genres, new media,
object.
Yeah, but that's not where the rest of the world is at. The rest of the world is just doing and making and the objects, and there's no really trying to categorize as a very limiting way of thinking about art. And so my work really actively pushes against categorization. So it's very much interstitial or in between things, or jamming two things together.
All right, so you got to get something tangible for me to envision.
Okay, I'll tell you what I've got going on for this show is a body of work called Cutouts, in which I'm taking iconographic photographs, like Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston, and or Neil Armstrong on the moon, and then so those are being scanned from their physical format at a very high resolution, and I'm sending those abroad. To places like India or Mexico or Bangladesh or Vietnam or whatever, the Philippines. I worked with people just from all over the world, and they're artists, they're individuals that are empowering themselves online through their own creative talents. If they'll go up online on social media sites like Fiverr or Reddit or something, and they'll say like, I'm really good at Photoshop, and so I'll contact them and I'll be like, hey, I'm working on this project, this and that, Here, this is what this is about. Here's this image. Can you please remove Muhammad Ali from the image? And they'll, so we'll have these conversations, and it's all paid, right? Because it's about empowering them and paying them. But they're not paying taxes, and I'm not paying taxes, and they're not getting charged a fee for this. So it's really empowering for both parties, and we're really using the internet as this post-national space where artists can connect internationally, and.
Yeah. So talk about the end product.
Oh, and so the end product becomes these, 4 feet by 6 foot framed photographs in archival inkjet. They're very large, and they're about what's missing in the image. So you'll see, like, for example, Neil Armstrong. The photograph of Neil Armstrong on the moon, I had Neil Armstrong erased. And so it's just the moon and the absence of Neil Armstrong in the center of the image. Yeah, and this tiny shadow streaming from the bottom. So it's really
very
existential.
About the absence. Yeah. Existentialism, Sartre talks about going and not seeing what you're looking for.
And in that way, and what I've seen in a lot of his work is it's a challenge to the viewer to piece together the art in their mind, and so they're not being spoon-fed the work that they have to work for it, and but in the end it's very rewarding because it is someplace that you wouldn't have been able to find if you didn't provide this challenge for you.
I think that's really key. I never really, I don't try to communicate one thing. I don't try to get you to feel one thing. I'm really trying to provide or offer you a set of questions or something to decode, something to really, not just to, have this experience with it. But also, you're bringing something to it. Like it's this environment. You have to bring something to it.
Well, you have to
form
participate.
A relationship. Yeah, there's a participation with it. But really, it's about being offered a set of questions rather than any sort of answer.
And you'll be offered 3 questions at the show.
At least.
At least. We're gonna have to cut you off from. Yeah. You got so many ideas. You're like, oh, this and this. Yeah. No, they'll be wonderful. We'll have at least 3 questions at the show, May 29th. We're going to have 3 large images on display of Dmitri Zurita's.
And then tell us about your work, Heidi Cramer.
Well, like Dimitri was saying, this categorization, like how to categorize myself. I'm really working to be in the world of installation art. I think it's very intriguing because in this in contemporary art right now, we've crossed all the boundaries, and I feel installation art.
Now, wait a second. What do you mean we've crossed all the boundaries?
Well, I mean that with everything that is available to us, globally, through the internet, through each other, that I feel, at least personally, that I can't commit myself to one single thing, that there's so much available to me.
Are you talking about media?
Yes. Yeah. That just media, the physical boundary. Luckily, there's plenty of boundaries that we can yet, push past in our minds. But yeah, I feel installation art is a way for us to encompass every medium. And every approach to trying to answer these big questions or approach topics beyond ourselves, and really immerse the viewer in that place in the artist's mind, or that place that they're trying to create for the viewer, and a way for them to feel really surrounded by this idea. So the work that I'm going to be making for the show is definitely leaning in that direction. It is an installation about globalization. It's an installation about the process, the creation process, and different mediums that we can collect as citizens of the world, and what it means to be a citizen of the world, and what it means to be within our own cultural identities.
Whoa, Heidi, that's big.
It's a huge project, and it's something that I'm excited to continue to explore once the show's over. It's something that I feel like, the clock is constantly running down, and I kind of want to sit there. It's like a good book. I just want to sit there and keep reading it, and I know that I have to stop, but it's going to be a beautiful thing to see. At least I hope people will think so for the show.
So how many installation artists will there be? 4? And it sounds like yours is like an installation piece in a way. I mean, it sounds like you'll be surrounded by these 3.
Well, I'm actually in the back wall, and I'm going to have 3 large photographs, each 4 feet by 6 feet. And there will also be some text pieces. I've also been doing a lot of text work recently using adhesives instead of spray paint. And so basically the text starts to collect life, starts to collect from its environment and sort of slowly appear, based on what's happening around it. And the text is based off of these. I rephotographed Lewis Hines' book on child labor, but I only photographed his notes. So the text works are photographs of Lewis Hines' notes about his photographs on child labor, and all his notes are really really sort of objective and short and just very personal, because they're just about him remembering the photograph, him capturing this moment, what he's talking about. It's not meant for anybody else. But I was able to get my hands on it, and it was really, really interesting text piece. Yeah, it's becoming these really, really interesting text pieces. So it is partially, it's an installation, but it's, you know, it's 2-dimensional, which is really interesting because it is taking up space. It is really creating an environment.
Immersive.
Yeah, immersive is really, I was trying to stay away from that word because it's like this really hot word lately, but it's true.
Liminal.
I mean, it's liminal. Yeah, liminal. It's a really liminal installation.
Art speak for all.
It makes you feel in the art space.
Yeah, no, I think definitely, especially because they're so large.
Exactly.
You're used to seeing these photographs in magazines on your computer screen, and so they're definitely part of your cultural identity. They're part
iconic.
of your memory. They're iconographic. But you don't recognize them. That's what's so interesting, is that once I manipulate them so slightly, it's like erasing everybody from the image or erasing everybody but the victims, but the disenfranchised, you know. So many people don't remember the images. They're just like, it's like they've never seen the image before. It's like a brand new image. And I think that's really interesting. And some people think it's problematic, and I don't think so at all. I mean, I think everybody can glean something from my work. I'm never going to try to tell everybody everything that my work's about. It just seems impossible, you know?
Yep. That's a puzzle.
Yeah, but I think it's both of them. Yeah. I'm setting up a situation where it's like 90% me. I'm setting up everything. You have to come in, give your 10%, have this subjective interpretation of it, have like this experience with it, take it at home, sleep with it, think about it for a couple days. And
well, if it's good art,
if
that's
it's good,
what happens.
I hope so.
Oh, I'm sure yours is going to be great, Dimitri. I'm just saying, like, for me, great art is the art that whispers at me 2 weeks later and stays with me. And,
well, hopefully you'll get it. Hopefully you'll be like, oh, that was Muhammad Ali. Oh, that was supposed to be Neil Armstrong. Oh, the flag is missing from that image, or the soldiers are missing from that image.
Right.
You know, like, I remember this image of this little girl on fire, but
yeah.
It's almost like a nightmare. It's almost like
tugging on.
It's almost like a recollection. It's almost like deja vu. It's not something that you're like, oh, that's this. Mm-hmm. You know, so I like operating that jarring space where it's like there's this weird friction that's happening there.
So coming to the end of your artistic scholarship, Dimitri, if you were able to answer the question, if you could give me an answer for this, what is your definition of art?
Art is everything. Yeah. Art is a framework. Art is a framework. Yeah, that's what it is. Art is a framework through which to view and understand. And I think
you're such
really
an existentialist.
Well, it really, because I see Heidi and I, we started a year piece. We finished a year piece in which we basically didn't know each other, but we just decided to move in with each other on our first date and not spend a day apart from each other, not spend a night apart for at least a year.
That's another art piece.
Yeah, and that became. But
so Linda Montano,
yeah,
or they?
Yeah. Actually, I'm a performance art saint thanks to Linda Montano. Linda Montano's virtual residency.
She gave me a certificate.
Yeah.
I am
I'm
also
a performance art saint. Me too. Awesome. That's great. That's great. So 2 performance art saints in here.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
And so,
but that was about framing all of life as art. Everything we did, we would do these, just laying on top of each other, breathing and trying to push each other's breath, cooking, eating, sitting down, going to the bathroom, like walking. Absolutely everything is art, and it's because you just have to see it that way. You have to, because
you're framing it that way.
You have to frame it that way. Exactly.
And every small gesture that you do with or towards one another and with each other shapes.
Yeah, it's a sculpture. It's a gesturally, everything we say to each other, it's, you're carving into clay, or you're adding clay, or you're putting wood, or you're painting.
And it's a very, thought through.
Gestural.
Yeah, and it's a very purposeful gesture when you make it. There's nothing that can just be, But
there's also improvisation. I mean, I think we plan like 80% of it, and then the other like 20-30% is just improvisation. It's like good performance art.
Yeah. So Heidi, do you mind if I ask you the same question? What's your definition of art?
Well, I think that's something, luckily, that I can't give a solid answer for, and that's what's so intriguing for me, is that it's something that I'm constantly asking myself every day. What do I consider as art, and can I give a succinct definition of it? No, but that's why it's amazing. I thought I used to, I thought I knew what art was.
Until you went to art school?
Until I was in the process of deciding that I was an artist. Once I decided I was an artist, that's when I started to really question what art was. And I decided to be an artist when I was, a kid. And trying to then be, because you know what art is when you see it, but you know what art is when you're making it. And it's a different thing when you are making, if you're a conductor, when you're making the music, you're consciously deciding what is included as the finished product and what, you want to leave out. And that positioning makes you question everything that you do, every decision that you make, then influences how it is received and what it is then, what it is in its completion. And that for me is where the constant questioning comes into play, and the fascination and the challenge of it. So I don't have a solid definition, and I don't think I would try to make one, just because it keeps it more interesting that way.
Yeah. Well, one of my professors told me that it's like, why are you even asking the question? Because
I think you always need to ask yourself. I think you always need to ask yourself that question, but I don't think.
I think it's a fun prompt too.
Yeah, I don't think that you should have to answer it.
Yeah. No, totally. You should never. Right. It should just be a constant experimentation.
What she said was, if the person tells me it's art, then I will consider it art.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's up to the artist to tell me.
Yeah.
Hey.
But it's up to everybody, because I think.
Yeah. Duchamp would agree with you.
Yeah. If you go for a walk, that's art. You're moving through space.
If you want to call it art, if you're framing it as art.
Totally. Baldessari, I am making art.
Yeah.
I am making art. I am moving my arms and waving them around for people in Radio Land.
Right, but then they'll also get to see you on videotape.
Yeah.
I am making art.
Yeah. There you go.
We're trying to go interstitial here.
Yeah, I think
Watch the video, all you
one
out
of the really
there.
important things is that art is generally considered as this passive activity. With a neutral audience, and I think that's just total BS. Art needs to be art is super engaging. Art needs to be interventionist. Art needs to be in action. Art needs to change things. Art needs to be not presenting you, not giving you awareness, not raising funds. Art needs to be filling in all the spaces where everything else is missing. Yeah,
right.
So for me, I try to make my art super not practical, but active, I don't know how to even say it.
Challenging?
It's something.
You got to participate with it.
Yeah.
It's not just giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
It's no longer a pretty thing for you to sit there and
it's
look
not
at
about
and
awareness.
enjoy.
Yeah, and it's not also right, because it's so much social practice work becomes about raising awareness about issues, and that sort of really grinds my gears. That really gets me, because awareness just isn't. It's not enough.
You need to activate.
You need to do. Yeah.
You have to be aware enough to where it moves you.
Exactly, which is why I was doing this series of cutouts, which I was doing myself. I was erasing them myself. But I had no interest in being the hero of the story and being the artist and having the heroic hand in the work. I was more interested in empowering the work through someone else's labor. And I thought that was just really great. And so we're still working on that.
Dimitri, do you have a website?
Yeah, just DimitriZurita.com. DimitriZurita.com.
Excellent. And Heidi?
Same, HeidiCramer.com. It's HeidiCramer.com.
Well, to Irwin Scholars, I wish you the most amazing future post-graduation, and hopefully you'll be coming back and doing some exhibitions here, and you can come back on and tell us what's happened between times.
Definitely.
I commend you, and I can't wait for the show. That's right, May 29th, folks. Opening reception from 5 to 7, and it runs through June 15th. May 29th through June 15th at the Mary Porter Sesnon Art Gallery at UCSC. You don't want to miss this show. You will love it. And so please stay tuned for 2 more Irwin Scholars. I'm going to be talking with Noah Mishka and Lenora Valdez. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned, everybody.
Thank you. We also had I had a plug for, we're in the show at SOMARTS, June 8th.
SOMARTS is?
Yeah. And then SOMARTS is in San Francisco.
Oh, great.
They're actually an amazing institution, and they're funded by the San Francisco Arts Commission. So it goes kind of high up, if you want to call it that way.
So I want to say South of Market Arts Bay Gallery.
Or do you just say Somarts? It's known as
Somarts. And let's see, where is there some... I'm not seeing the website, but it's the Emergent Art Space Crossing Borders.
Yes. And then I'm also in a solo show. I have a solo show at 799 Castro at the Austrian Law Group.
These will all be posted on our website.
They'll all be posted.
Yeah,
I just haven't done any
Artist on
promotion for it,
Yeah.
so it'd be sweet if there was like promotion for my solo show, I guess.
Well, you know it's going to go out right now.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.